Hello guys, how are you all doing? I hope you are all well. Welcome to my early GW29 preview video. We have lots of things to talk about for today, so I wanna look at my GW29 team and give you guys some of my early transfer plans and talk about potentially using my bench boost chip for this game week. Also, we are gonna see how my wildcard team did for Game Week 28, what was good, what went wrong, and am I happy with how my team looks after my wildcard. So that's the plan for today. Thank you for watching, I appreciate it, and let's start. So, as some of you probably know, for Game Week 28 I used my wildcard, and here is the team on the screen, my wildcard team, and there were some returns in this team. Let me just lower the sound of my TV. So there were some returns, mostly from the attackers. As you can see here, all of my starting attackers got at least one or more returns, so I'm very happy with that. There were pretty much no returns in the defense. Unfortunately, only Rhys James, he got an assist for the penalty that Chelsea got, so that was the only defensive return this week. No clean sheets from Newcastle, from Brentford or Chelsea or any other team. To be fair, this was a game week in which I believe only Aston Villa kept a clean sheet. The only team in the Prem that kept a clean sheet this week, so it wasn't a week for a defender. It was a good week for all the attackers. So yeah, my overall score at the end of Game Week 28 is 64 points. It's nothing too crazy, but it's definitely not bad, especially when we looked at the average overall, which is 33. So yeah, it's good. It's a green arrow for my team, almost 3k green arrow. So I was around 7k at the start of the game week. Now I'm 4.3k overall rank. It would have been even better if this Saka haul didn't happen. So as you can see here, I went with Kane captain for this game week, and to be fair, Saka wasn't even in my consideration. He was not even my second choice captain. I was between Harry Kane and Martinelli. So if I went with an Arsenal captain for this week, it would have most likely been Martinelli and not Saka, based on recent form. Saka in the last 3 or 4 games, let's say it like that, he was a little bit out of form. He looked he played way too wide on the field, and for example, I remember watching the Fulham game that Arsenal won 3-0, and all of the Arsenal dangerous attacks went through Martinelli and Trossard mostly. Also Odegaard got involved as well, Xhaka, even Zinchenko, and Saka was isolated on the far right side of the field. And this happened in a couple of other games as well recently, so that's why Saka wasn't really a consideration for me for captaincy for this week based on form, but surprisingly he was for lots of people. I wonder what's that based on, to be honest. Maybe it's just the fact that it was a home fixture, and Saka has been doing quite well this year in the home fixtures, but I'm very surprised that a lot of people didn't go for a Martinelli or maybe Martin Odegaard captain for this week. I'm very surprised that Saka was captained by so many people, and fair enough, they all got rewarded in the end. I lost a couple of 100 places for that, but that's okay. I'm still happy with my team. I'm happy with most of my players, and let's move to Game Week 29 and see how my team looks at the moment and what my chip strategy could be for this game week. So here is the initial team for Game Week 29. On the screen we have 11 double playing players, so all of my hopefully starting players for this week will have a double game week. There is an international break at the moment happening, so hopefully there won't be any injuries and things like that. So this is how the team looks right now. And also here is the bench. I have Araya on the bench as my second goalkeeper with another double game week, and also Harry Kane is on the bench, and my two Arsenal players, Saka and Martinelli, with all three of them with a single game this week, but also a very good fixture for all three of them. That's very important to notice. So Arsenal play Leeds at home, and based on the current Arsenal form, I expect them to score another 4 or 5 goals in this game. So transferring out an Arsenal player for this week could backfire very easily, especially if it's for a hit. No matter if it's for a double game week player, because Arsenal at the moment have the potential of huge hauls, huge returns, like Saka showed us in game week 28, and also Harry Kane against Everton away. That's another fixture in which I expect Harry Kane to get some returns. He has quite a good previous. He tends to play well against Everton. He has lots of goals against this team. Well, to be honest, Harry Kane tends to play well against pretty much anyone. So yeah, I expect at least 1 or 2 returns from Harry Kane in this game as well. So for these reasons, currently I have my bench boost active for game week 29. I could potentially turn it off until the deadline and maybe save it for maybe gaming, I don't know, maybe double gaming 34 or maybe another gaming, who knows. But for the moment I have it active, mostly because if I turn it off I really don't know which players to bench for this week. It becomes a huge headache. One player that I could bench easily is Botman, because I'm not sure that going for a double up on the Newcastle defense was a good thing to do. Maybe it should have only been Trippier and then some other player in this place. So I could bench Botman if I don't play my wildcard, my bench boost, sorry. But then which other player would I bench for the 2 remaining spots? That's a very hard call, and mostly because of that I am currently I have my bench boost active for this game week. Now still is another potential concern for me for this game week. I don't know if he will keep his starting place for Brighton. He has started their last 3 games in the league, but in the cup game that Brighton played a couple of days ago, Sanchez was back in the team. He started, and I do wonder, he kept a clean sheet, so I do wonder if he will earn his starting place back for game week 29. I am hopeful that still is going to keep his place for this game week. I don't care about after game week 29, he can lose his place after, but I'm hopeful that he remains Brighton's starting goalkeeper for game week 29. He hasn't made any huge mistakes, I don't think, and it would be harsh for him to lose his starting place. So I am hoping that he is still Brighton's starting goalkeeper for this game week, and the rest of the team looks quite nice. And let's move to the transfer step and go through some potential options for game week 29. So as you can see, I have 3.1 in the bank, so lots of funds left in the bank for any potential moves. So let's just go through some of the popular options and teams for this game week. So I assume lots of people will be looking to bring a third Man United player, or second if you only have Rashford. I have Rashford and Luke Shaw already in my team, so United options are going to be quite popular for this game week, I believe. Rashford is of course the best option, I still think, and I assume Bruno Fernandes is going to be quite a popular option as well. He is 9.6 at the moment, and in their cup game he scored 2 goals, and recently he has been in a decent form. I remember in United Celeste double game he had a huge haul. He scored a goal and some bonus points, so he's a good player. He could provide lots of points in Game Week 29 and beyond. But something to keep in mind is that Man United are going to blank in Game Week 32. So the 4 teams that will have a blank in that game week will be Man United, Man City, Chelsea and Brighton. So what does that mean? That means that, so if you are like me and you don't have your free hit available, that basically means that going for a player that will have a blank game week 32 is not the best, is not ideal, let's say it like that. I already have lots of players from those teams, so I already have 2 Man United, 3 Chelsea. I will get Halland back in the team, and I have Mitoma, so lots of players from those teams. And getting another Man United player this week basically means that I would have to take a couple of hits when Game Week 32 comes to field 11 starting players. So that's the downside for me and people that don't have a free hit for going for a couple of Man United players. From the other side, if you have your free hit still available, then definitely going for a Man United player and possibly Halland and couple of other Man City players, maybe even couple of Brighton players, seems to be the best thing to do this week. And then in Game Week 32, when all of these players blank, you can just free hit. But for me, it's not ideal, so I'm not sure, I haven't made the decision yet, but as it stands, I will probably not go for Bruno Fernandes, because it doesn't really work in my team. Now, let me just go to the fixtures. So, instead, I'm looking at some other potential options that have double game week in 29 and have a fixture in game week 32 as well. So, if we look here, there are a couple of teams that have 2 home games in their double game week 29. So one of those teams is Chelsea, but I already have 3 Chelsea players, so they have 2 home games in this game week, so that's good. Another team with 2 home games is West Ham. So they have West Ham, they play Southampton at home, and then they play Newcastle at home. So I do like going for a team that has 2 home games. I think the home games are a huge advantage in the Premier League, and teams tend to play a lot better when they are at home than away from home. So if we look at some of the options at West, and also West Ham have a fixture in 32 game 32 as well, so that's another plus. So if we look at some of the options, there don't seem to be a lot of them from West Ham, but like I said, they have a double game week in 29 at home, and game week 32 they play Bournemouth away. That's another good fixture. So maybe going for either a defender or a cheap option in the attack could be good. So maybe I'm looking at Benrahma as a potentially differential cheap option. He's a good player, he has great stats recently, and he gets involved, he scores goals, he gets assists as well. The problem with him is that he tends to be rotated around, so as you can see here, he only played 45 minutes in this game. He got benched against Tottenham, so that's a problem for him, but he could be an interesting differential option if you think that he will get 2 starts in this double game week. But other than that, I'm mostly looking at a potentially at a defender. If some of my defenders get injured during the international break, maybe I could go for one of their defenders. Let me just see, is Aaron Cresswell starting every game? No, he isn't, so I would have to look at which one specifically. Zuma, I suppose, is the most nailed one. There could potentially be an interesting fullback from here as well, so that could be an interesting team to look at. Another team that has two home fixtures in this double game week is, let me just see which team was it, is Bournemouth. They play Fulham at home and Brighton at home. This could be an interesting fixture for Solanke in the attack. They could score a couple of goals in these games as well. And then one team I'm looking at is Liverpool. So if we go to the Liverpool team, we can see that they have 2 fixtures in 29. Okay, there are 2 hard fixtures. They play Man City and Chelsea away, 2 derbies, but Liverpool tend to do good in the derbies, and Salah tends to do well against Man City as well. They also have a fixture in game 32, home fixture against Nottingham Forest, so that's great. I'm looking at a Liverpool player for my team. I'm not quite sure if that will be for this game week or the game week after, maybe game week 30 or 31, but I will mostly definitely get, if I can afford Salah. If I cannot, then maybe Cody Gakpo could be an interesting option. I'm not sure about the attackers, but Gakpo could provide some points as well. I'm looking at him as well. And another thing to consider when you're making your transfers for this game week is to make sure you have enough funds in the bank to get in Halland for next week if you're looking to get him in game week 30, like I am. So at the moment I'm hoping that I could transfer out Havertz and get in Halland instead of Harry Kane. I assume most of people are going to just easily transfer in Halland for Harry Kane, but I would like to keep both of them for a couple of game weeks at least as a differential. I think Harry Kane could provide lots of points as well, and he has a fixture in game 32, so I'm looking to get in Halland for Havertz instead, hopefully. And as you can see here, I'm a little bit short, so I have to plan my transfer for this game week to fund this potential move the game week after. So if I transfer out Martinelli, for example, I only have 5.2 in the bank, so I could potentially get a Brighton midfielder for that price. So Solimarch, he's 5.1, I could get him. But like I said, the problem is that Brighton also have a blank in game week 32 as well. So if I had my free hit, I would have most likely went with these 2 transfers. I would have gotten Solimarch for his double game week for this week, and then Halland for Havertz next week. But like I said, this will probably not work for my team. I will have to find another way to get in Halland. But there is still a lot of time until we make these final decisions. Keep in mind, we have an international break coming up, so lots of these players will be involved with their international teams, and hopefully there won't be many injuries, and then we can decide if we need lots of hits, I assume some people are going to take lots of hits this game week. Maybe even I end up rolling the transfers if none of my players get injured. Then I would like to have 2 free transfers for next game week, who knows. Now the last thing to talk about is captaincy for this game week. I will captain a double game week player, that's for sure. Currently I am looking at one of Rashford or Mitoma possibly. Those are the 2 most interesting players for captaincy for me this game week. I'm not looking at any of the defenders. I rarely captain a defender, pretty much never. That's not my playstyle really. So from my double game week attackers, James Maddison has great fixtures, but I'm not sure I want to captain James Maddison based on the fact that Leicester are not good as a team in whole. So I'm not looking at him. Oli Watkins and Kai Havertz, 2 good strikers, but I don't see huge holes from them. I see 1 or maybe 2 goals from both of them, somewhere mostly at 10 points, not more than that. So the 2 captaincy options for me, like I said, are Marcus Rashford and Mitoma. Based on recent form, I would argue that Mitoma could be the better captain for me, or a Brighton player in general. So Brighton do look amazing at the moment. They are back to scoring 3, 4, 5 goals a game, and all of their attacking options look good. Mitoma, McAllister, Solly March, all of them look decent. So, and they have 2 favorable fixtures: Brentford at home, Bournemouth away. That's the positive of going for a Mitoma captain, and plus it's going to be a super differential captain if he ends up hauling, yeah, like he has done lots of times for me in the past. That would bring my rank, that would be a huge boost for me, and that's something to consider. Marcus Rashford, on the other hand, is the safer option. I assume most of people this game week are going to have him as their captain. He has 2 solid fixtures: Newcastle away, Brentford at home. One thing to keep in mind is that Brentford tend to play quite well when they are against the attacking sides of the league, so against the top 6 sides, let's say it like that. So for example, the last game Brentford played against Man United, they won 4-0. They also got a result at Arsenal. They got a 1-1. So they won at Man City, I believe, as well. So they tend to play well against teams that attack them, and they just park the bus and counter attack. So this could be a tricky fixture for Man United, and Newcastle away also could potentially be a harder fixture to score in. But Newcastle recently haven't been the best defensively, and also Marcus Rashford, like always, is in a great form for this season, and I expect both him and the Brighton midfielders to get somewhere between let's say between 12 and 15 points for this game week, for this double game week. So it depends how I feel at the end. If I feel confident, if I feel that I should go for a risky captaincy choice, I would go for Mitoma. If I feel that I should go for the safe option to make sure I don't tank my rank and I don't lose my top 10k place, then I would most likely go for Marcus Rashford. So that's all for today. I don't know, maybe I forgot something. It's been a long video already, so I will wait to see what happens in the international break. Hopefully there are not that many injuries, and then after that we can focus on some specific transfer plans and see if I'm looking to make any hits for this game week. And yeah, that's all. Thank you for watching, guys, and I will see you after the international break.